Welcome back to Foundry Talks. Today, I get the pleasure of sitting down with Brianna Sloan, who is the marketing manager at the Nimmo Bay Wilderness Resort. And we talk about everything from their guest booking journey and how the consideration period can often be a lot longer than most traditional hotels, the uniqueness of their property, how they really develop their team and empower them to come up with great ideas, to interact with the guests, how it can be challenging to communicate the level of luxury that a guest will experience when they're in a really rugged and wild environment, and how they've been able to get really creative with creating video content, partnering with content creators, and what's resonated with guests and what they continue to iterate and develop, and how they take the guest feedback from every stay and really take that to heart and use that to fuel new ideas and how they can better create guest experiences in the future. So if this sounds like something you've been wanting to learn more about or have questions on how you can really take your guest experience to the next level, we think this will be really powerful for you. So let's get into it. Welcome back to Foundry Talks. I'm Rachel Stoyanowski, and today I'm very excited to be joined by Brianna Sloan, who is the marketing manager for Nimmo Bay Wilderness Resort. So Brianna, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Rachel. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We are so excited to have you with us today. I know we chatted earlier, but we all over at the Travel Foundry have been massive fans of what you all do at Nimmo Bay and just what you create and the stories that you tell. So we're so excited to dive in a little bit deeper. And to just kick us off, if you want to just give us a little bit about your background and intro, and then we'll go from there.
Gosh, that's a nice intro. I'm blushing. A little bit about me or a little bit about Nimmo, maybe a bit of both?
Bit of both.
Okay. So Nimmo Bay Resort has been in operation since 1980. It's a family-owned and operated destination in the Great Bear Rainforest of British Columbia. So we are a remote fly-in destination offering sort of wilderness, wildlife, culinary, and kind of holistic wilderness experiences. I've been working there for almost 20 years now. I started when I was 18 and kind of never left. I actually started as a dishwasher and I was going to school in the off seasons. And then every time I was ready for a new challenge or I'd upskilled in the off season, there was something new for me at Nimmo. So I just sort of evolved as the company grew. And now I work year round in what we call the offsite city office, where we all work from home.
It's so amazing. One thing that I love what you said the first time I heard this story is that Nimmo is sticky. You're like, there's just something sticky about it. When you're there and you start there, like it makes it hard to leave. And the team has been there for such a long time. And what do you think there's something like, what is the thing, maybe it's a couple things that really make it such a magical place that people not only want to visit, but love to work there too?
Yeah, I think that's a really easy answer. And it's the people.
Yeah.
Guests, I mean, from a guest perspective, they come because they've heard about the Great Bear Rainforest or they want to do the things that we offer, see the place. But they come back because of the genuine connections that they make with the team. And it's kind of the same for the team, right? Like you go because you need a job or you go because you've heard that it's a really cool place to work. And then you stay because, I mean, all my best friends work at Nimmo Bay.
Yeah.
The owners are amazing. And it's just this like, it's its own community. And yeah, it just feels like home. Like working for your family, working for your friends.
Yeah.
It feels like home.
It's funny how I think in hospitality specifically, like you kind of have, it brings a whole different meaning to like your work family because you just understand, like no one else really understands what you're going through and like what it is to do your job other than those people. And so there's just this like bond that is formed. And I have found that's kind of unique in this industry, but it's just so special too that people have stayed for so long that there's not this high level of turnover. And I think that that's amazing because then you're able to in turn create these amazing experiences for your guests. Do you have a lot of repeat guests who just keep coming back? Yeah.
We do. And I'll say like it's especially unique to Nimmo Bay because we're a seasonal property. So like that camaraderie that you get from any hospitality business, I think is amplified when you're not only working together, but you're also living together. You're eating all your meals together. You're breathing the same air. Like it's so intense for 6 months that people like that level of friendship, that depth of experience that you get from that place, it's pretty unrivaled, I think.
Yeah.
I think that the guests feel that, and maybe that's why they come back year after year, but we have guests who have been coming for, this past year, one of our guests was like, this is my 28th trip. Like, sign me up for a week for the rest of my life. Like, it's just, they come, it's their, summer cabin on steroids or
Yeah.
we stay every year. We have guests who, started coming with their parents and are now bringing their kids. And, it's like 3 generations of guests at this point. It's very cool. It's a very special place. And yeah, the sticky is a good term. Like it just feels like, I don't know, there's like a piece of my heart that's stuck up there and
Yeah.
like, it'll never return to me.
Yeah.
And I go, no.
It is like going to work. It's like almost going home in a way.
Yeah, second home. Totally.
Yeah. I love it. So you kind of wear two hats in your, I mean, like you said, starting from a dishwasher and now everything that you oversee, but you're still really involved in reservations while also leading the marketing team. So I imagine that you have a really unique perspective on not only what the guests are looking for, but also how to build initiatives and craft experiences that you know they'll appreciate. So, how does that dual role influence the way you approach marketing?
Yeah, I think it's probably not dissimilar to a lot of smaller businesses. Like you wear multiple hats. It's just what you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely influences how I approach marketing because I do see the inquiries coming in and I have the conversations with the guests. I know what either attracted them to Nemo Bay or what marketing material resonated with them
Yeah.
and also what they're actually looking for. So for me, it's a super valuable part of my position to be able to really see what's getting people and how to communicate to them in a way that's going to work. I see the cadence as well of the year. So when
Yeah.
our group's inquiring and when our corporate group's inquiring, when our couple's most interested in inquiring, like
Mhm.
how the pace has changed. We're getting a lot more last minute bookings from couples, which is just
Yeah.
it's just changing the face of the business. So I think having my hand in that side of the business is really helpful. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then you were mentioning sort of how we package programs for guests and sort
Yeah.
of seeing that's definitely I mean, I think that any business who's doing it right is going to be directed by their guests and, like, what
Mhm.
people are looking for. Of course, you're gonna put out to the world what you do and what you're passionate about, but then when people come back and they're like, "That hits. Like, I get
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
Do more of that." That's what you're gonna do, right? And right from the inquiry phase, like, okay, what are people asking for? What are people loving that they see? And then on the other side too, what are they leaving saying like that was my favorite thing? And
Yeah.
so like it's very guest led.
Yeah. Has there been anything that you thought would be, and maybe there hasn't, but has there been anything that you thought would be like raving success and kind of fell flat or guests didn't really stick to
Hmm,
it the way you thought they would?
that's an interesting question. Honestly, I'm sure that there has been. Like over the years, I'm sure that there has been. But sometimes the thing is like sometimes the wilder we get, the better it does. And it's not like okay, so we've got this table called the Snorknik table.
Okay.
And it's a we coined the term, you can laugh, it's meant to be funny. But it's like a snorkel picnic, so it's a semi-submerged picnic table that people will put on wetsuits, they'll sort of dive and snorkel and collect ingredients from the water, and then they go to
My
this
gosh.
semi-submerged picnic table. We've got a fire going, a little bit of Chang grill, there's a chef there. It's like a very cool experience.
Amazing.
People absolutely love it when they see the content from that. They're like,
Oh,
"I
I'm
wanna
sure.
do that. That looks incredible. It's, like, totally out of this world. There's only one of them in the world. It's wild."
Yeah.
Right? But the reality of it is that it's a very specific thing for very specific people. Like,
Yeah.
not everybody, when they actually get there, want to be wet while
While
they're
they're
eating.
eating.
You know what I mean? It's the
Uh,
water's cold, which is great. We have great wetsuits and all that. Like, it's comfortable, but it's definitely on the sort of farther edge of adventure for a lot of our guests. And so,
yeah.
although like visually it's inspiring and people love it, I'd say like in reality, it doesn't necessarily hit in real time. Does that make sense? So it's sort of like a yes and no kind of answer.
Yeah. Maybe something that got their attention or encouraged them to learn more, but it's not something that they actually book. You're not fully booked with that experience every day of the season.
Sometimes we sell a higher level of adventure than we execute on a daily basis. And
Yeah.
there's like a select few guests who really want to do the like highest level of adventure that we put out there.
I get that. I mean, as a get thinking like from a guest perspective, you see something, you're like, oh my gosh, this is like once in a lifetime. I got to go there. I want to do all of these things. But then you're there. And I'm sure that just the atmosphere and where you are is like really powerful. And so you probably have a lot of time just enjoying being where you are without being so packed full of experiences.
Totally. And I don't know about you, but I think I've bought a wellness retreat once where it was like, oh yes, I'm gonna like do the yoga every day. I'm gonna go for intense gym exercises. I'm gonna go for the runs. And then I get there and I'm
Yeah.
like, actually what I need is a bath and a book. Like That's what I end up doing. So I think that's like everybody's experience in one way or another,
Yeah.
right? You're like you're really you have an idea in mind and then what you actually want to do, what you really need in that moment might be a little bit different.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So, kind of talking a little bit about how that can impact people's excitement to book, I'd love to talk about the booking journey because I think that's really unique for Nemo Bay.
Hmm.
From what you were sharing, it sounds like when someone's considering Nemo Bay, it isn't a place that you just say, oh, this weekend, let's get away, that there's a much longer consideration period. So, what does that journey look like since this is a bit of more of an investment for this experience?
See, I mean, it depends on the guest,
Yeah.
and more we are getting those last minute bookings, but it's typically for smaller groups. So for
Okay.
a couple, I think couples can kind of shoot from the hip a little bit more and
Yeah.
book last minute. So we are getting that, and increasingly so every year. That said, I think we have a lot of variance in the customer journey. And
Yeah.
as you know, luxury acquisition is almost impossible to track. Like it's
Yeah.
really hard to tell you that 20% of our bookings came from such and such.
Right.
It's a mixed journey, and for some people it's a couple weeks and for some people it's 10 years. But yeah, I think like typically I would say, people find us either
Yeah.
they heard about us from a friend or they found us on the internet and they'll start follow and they'll start to learn about the stories and they'll start to see more of the visuals and then maybe they'll reach out and then we'll have a back and forth. Maybe they drop off for a couple years. Maybe they
Yeah.
come back like, hey, I wanted to do that and I couldn't figure out the dates at that time or my parent was sick or whatever.
Right.
They'll often come back if they were at one point interested.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can take us, upwards of 7 years to sort of convert on an initial interest,
Yeah.
but then other people, it's like, "I heard from a buddy, I gotta go, so I'm here."
Yeah. I love that. Well, and it's like I think that the reservation process is a little bit more in depth than just most hotels, right? Like what does that process look like if someone does call and they say like, "I'm considering this." Like where do you even start?
That's a funny question because 'cause we're actually in the process of changing that a little bit, but for the last 40 years, we've been very old school. It's like you can only email or call us, and
Yeah.
that's the extent of our kind of online booking process. It's like,
Right.
"Here's an online form to fill out," or "Here's our email." So, it has been very well, yeah, old school is what's coming to mind. We are in the process of getting an online booking engine and calendar just because,
Amazing.
2025.
We're getting there.
We're getting there, but we have resisted that because we really, really like to talk to people
Yeah.
and to be able to look at our calendar also, and, like, we get so detailed that we'll look at our calendar and be like, "Okay, these people wanna do this, and we think that they'll really fit in with those guests," and, like or maybe that would be, like, oil and water, let's not suggest those dates to them. So, like, we get
Yeah.
really hands-on with our calendar and with the way that we book people in because 'cause we're such a small place that you really don't want a weird mix of people.
Yeah.
You've got a group of 12 guys, let's not put in the honeymooners, like,
Yeah.
at that time frame, that's a third of our
Right.
inventory, right? So, anyway, the booking process right now is like an email conversation. We offer dates, we find the right dates, and then we start to talk about what they might like to do and their intention for their stay, and again, sort of getting really granular about it. But again, that might be changing soon with our online booking engine, but we'll see.
It's just
We
I
wanna
feel like yeah, I think that that is what's so special and probably something that just sets the tone for these guests because 'cause they're coming in and, like, where almost nowhere has that level of detail and personalization and really, like, the thoughtfulness behind it, and I think that that's so amazing that your team's been able to do that for as long as they have because you're almost, like, ensuring a great stay. You've put enough thought and detail and your team knows them already that it's like, this person already has people like looking out for them and trying to curate this amazing stay. So you're already
Mhm.
off to a great start,
Yeah, and
which
it's a
is amazing.
combination of, like, expectations management, so they really know what they're
Yeah.
getting into, and
Yeah.
hype. Like, we want
Yeah.
them to book the right things for them so that they're gonna have a great stay, and then, yeah, make sure that they know exactly what they're getting into. Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, we take it even farther than email. We have a virtual call just like this one face to face with, I'd say
Wow.
90% of our guests, and usually
Yeah.
they're half an hour, 45 minutes where we really we talk about logistics. How are you getting there? Like, what's your travel plans? What are you doing before and after Nemo? Can we help you make reservations,
Yeah.
at other hotels or
Right.
restaurants? But then we also talk a little bit more about things like, what's the pace that you like to travel at? Like, do you wanna be busy every single day all the
Yeah.
time? Do you want to build in the time for relaxation and downtime in your cabin? Do you like to be social with other guests, or would you really like quiet time?
Yeah.
what's the intention? Are you coming here hoping to have a great adventure and leave with some stories, or are you looking for a deep transformational experience where like nature is your guide and you're
Yeah.
intuitive, mindful experience? Like there's really like a big scope in terms of how we can approach a trip. And so we try
Yeah.
and sort of like draw that out in a face-to-face conversation. You just can't do that on the phone or an email. So
Yeah.
that's probably, I think, one of the most valuable times that we have with guests pre-arrival.
Pre-arrival. How do you coach your team or help your team be so in tune with the guests and understand? Like, I imagine that this is something that's just kind of learned by example and maybe not really hardcore training about it. But how do you help your team kind of be that guide and ambassador for the guests during this process?
Our booking team is really small. So
Yeah.
it's myself, Jenny, who's also been with the company for over 20 years. She's family. She's the
Yeah.
owner's cousin. And then basically one other person who would do these kinds of calls.
Yeah.
And Haley's been with Nemo. She worked on site for 7 years and then, went off and did other things and then came back and she's been
Yeah.
with us for 4. So I don't know if it's necessarily training. I mean, there's obviously training in terms of like how we do things and what we do,
Right.
but I think it's more like
A passion.
hiring and bringing people on who, like, understand the ethos of Nemo and what we're
Yeah.
doing and why.
Yeah, I love that. It's just such a special. The more that we talk, the more I'm like, this is truly like such a unique once in a lifetime experience that I think really stays with guests. So I can see why it is so magical.
Aw, thanks. Yeah, it's a pretty special place for sure.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to talk through is just being a seasonal property and how that looks like, for marketing and when you're trying to be strategic. So how do you strategically use kind of those off-season months to plan and create so that you have content and everything geared up when you actually are busy and guests are on property?
Yeah, I think that obviously being seasonal has its challenges, but more so than the challenges, it's a real gift. Like,
Yeah.
we get to take a pause and, like, lift ourselves up to 10,000 feet and look down on the business and decide how we're gonna change things or what we're
Mhm.
gonna do. We have, like, a deep breath
Yeah.
to change things and reinvent the wheel every year. We also elicit a lot of feedback from our team. So at the end of the season, our HR manager has a 1 hour exit interview with everybody who's seasonal to talk about like what went well, what they do
Yeah.
differently. Like if they were the boss, what would they do?
Yeah.
And we get a ton of amazing feedback from every single team member that we get to debrief, we get to review, and we get to decide like what we're going to enact in the off season. And then we get this planning chunk of time to be able to actually put that stuff into motion, whether that's changing the way that we package our programs or whether that's in rebuilding things or building new things. Like we have
Yeah.
that time. And then on a marketing perspective, like it's all kind of hand in hand. Nemo Bay is such
Yeah.
a sort of smushed together organization that it's hard to really break that out. But
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I definitely get a little bit of downtime to be able to kind of make a good strategy and
Yeah.
maybe the cadence of like the paid acquisition. Like, okay, I'd like to do it this a little differently this year or that a little
Yeah.
differently, or that's working well. Yeah, it just gives me a chance, I think, to sit back and think about it better.
Yeah, I love that. It is such a gift because really most places are just go, go, go almost the entire year. So you're kind of doing this in tandem with operations. And so it's so great that you are able to maximize the off season and, kind of iterate to continue making it better every single season. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. We love the opportunity. It's a time for us to catch up on our footage too.
Yeah.
Spend the whole summer, the whole seasonal time, like, capturing so much content, and then in the off season, we're like, "Okay, like, we can get caught up on the editing and
Right.
production side of things."
Yeah, so walk me through that a little bit. With such a short window of like the operation season and then to capture content, what does that process look like for you guys to capture content and then editing? I know you've been over the years much more heavily involved in like the editing of it and kind of developing the video content and what you guys are putting on social, which is amazing, by the way. So walk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we've learned a lot about how to do this well or how to do it better. Anyway, we're still learning. Let's say, I mean, we ask a lot of people. When I come
Yeah.
in to Nemo, I sometimes I get the sense of people like, "Oh, shit, like here she comes, like so much more work." Because we do try and shoot during our core programming. Like, so
Okay.
the team is operating and then
Yeah.
we're like adding this on top. So it's definitely a lot of work, but I've learned that the better I can plan, the better I can sort of give
Right.
people a heads up. Like, I'm going to need a boat. I'm going to need
Yeah.
2 guides. I'm going to need the dive equipment this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
The better I can plan, the better it is on the team.
Hmm.
And then we work really closely with our videographer who also does the editing. So I don't do very much of the editing myself. I do some of the short form stuff, but none of the long form. So Josh is like so integral to the whole process. So I'll sort of decide what we're doing, plan it out by the sort of like 15-minute block, what we're going to do that day. We always bite off way more than we can chew. And then we have
Standard.
a ton of pre-production meetings. So like Josh and I know exactly what we're going to be doing, exactly who we need and what we need. If we're bringing in talent for it or collaborating with somebody else, they're in on those pre-production meetings as well. So with video, it's way different than
Yeah.
with stills. With video, I need a ton more planning, and especially with like timing, because it just
Yeah.
takes so much longer to do
Yeah.
video. I moved
Yeah.
from doing stills to video, and it's just like a whole different ball game. And I didn't go to film school, so I'm like definitely figuring it out as we go. But yeah, just a ton of pre-production planning, so that and having a good vision in mind. So I know what I want to get out of this. The
Yeah.
goal is in mind. I know what the video wants to look like. Look,
Yeah.
and then I'm planning to capture that rather than going in and shooting and then trying to put something together afterwards. That doesn't work.
Yeah. You've really leaned into YouTube as kind of your foundation for your video content. Can you tell us a little bit about what made you make that decision and how it's been successful for you?
Yeah, I mean, we're still figuring it out for sure.
It's a never ending learning with social media and the
Yeah,
world of YouTube.
changing so fast. If anybody
Yeah.
says they really know what they're doing, like they're lying. Everybody's still figuring it out, I think,
Everyone's
because
catching up.
it's always changing. Yeah. Yeah, why we chose YouTube though, I think if you're going to do anything, taking the biggest bite first might help. You know, it's like
Mhm.
it's the biggest, it's the hardest. It
Yeah.
takes the most work, it's the biggest investment. So for all the reasons, it's like the biggest bite to take. I think from there everything else feels easy.
Yeah.
And I can sort of shoot in tandem a little bit. Yeah, and I just think like YouTube is the base. It's the best opportunity for storytelling in a long way. It's the best opportunity for like depth of collaborations. And I mean, we do have a unique, fun story to tell, and I think people are drawn to characters. So really introducing the people behind the brand, I think that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting people to watch those videos is a different story that I'm still
Yeah.
working on. But I love making them. I think that's what the best opportunity for us to tell the story.
Yeah. We often find that people get kind of sidetracked with like, okay, I've made this big video, now it just lives here. But I think what you guys have done such a great job on is not just using it in one location. You use it for a lot of different areas or you'll cut it different. So when you're going out to film something, what are the things you're keeping in mind for how are you going to use that video?
Yeah, okay. There's a couple things there. One is that we don't create one big promotional video. And that's, I think, an issue that a lot of
Yeah.
operators make is they're like, okay, it's our annual promotional video time. We're going to create this. We're going to bring in a production company. We're going to make this one
Mhm.
big story. That feels like that's like a capsule. Like you can't
Yeah.
do anything with that. And it's promotional. So like people
Right.
might watch it, but like what's it really doing? It's promoting what you do.
It's like a homepage video kind of.
There's so many other ways to do that.
Yeah.
I think that YouTube, if you're doing it right, should be telling an ongoing story
Mhm.
about the people, about the brand, about what you're doing tomorrow, like whatever it is. I think that YouTube is designed as an ongoing storytelling platform and not as a promotional platform. So if you're
Yeah.
making one single promo video every year, like cool, everybody else is
Right.
too,
Yeah.
so that's one thing. And then the other is that if you are making one capsule video, then it's hard to use that on multiple platforms because it's very specific for that one thing.
Yeah.
So when I go about making videos, releasing a video every second week. So I'm making 24 in a year. It's definitely like, we'll make that one video, but I'm also thinking about every platform when I'm
Yeah.
going up to shoot that video. So in one day we'll make a video, but throughout that day I'll be like, okay, now I'm flipping the camera and this is social first content.
Yeah.
So look at the camera, tell me what we're doing, direct people over to the YouTube channel if that's what we want to do in that moment, or it's just taking like those clips to be,
Yeah.
smushed together into a reel or whatever. But I am definitely thinking about it as each platform in its own
Purpose.
style, but during the same shoot. And it's taken me a while to wrap my head around that and not just try and like shoot one video and then steal from it. I try
Yeah.
not to do that. So I try and have
Okay.
one shoot where I'm shooting in multiple styles during the
Yeah.
same day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So does that where a lot of the pre-production planning come in where you're like, okay, this piece is going to be filmed this way specifically for YouTube. So we want it horizontal. It's going to be a little bit longer. Then I know that iPhone content works really well. So then while everyone's still set up, we're going to do it again, but I'm going to film it with my iPhone and cut it so that it can be used for this. So is that kind of how you're thinking about
Exactly.
it? Yeah.
And having different people thinking about different things.
Yeah.
So we have, one person's thinking YouTube, the other person's thinking Instagram and TikTok, and, somebody else is thinking stills for Pinterest or whatever it might be. But
Yeah.
you can't have the same person thinking about multiple platforms. Also tried that. They'd have to be a genius. It's too hard.
Yeah, something falls through. You miss something. You get done with something. You're like, that's a wrap. And then,
Totally.
wait, I
Oh,
didn't
shoot.
get this. Yeah.
That said, and we didn't take this content. We didn't, grab that blurb or whatever. Yeah. So having different people thinking about their own sandbox is really helpful.
Yeah. So how do you decide what stories to tell? I mean, with so many incredible experiences happening at Nimmo Bay, like what makes the cut? And is it something you've learned over time? Like, I've seen this, people really resonate with this, so we're going to kind of do more in this vein, or
I'd love to say that that's what it is, but I think we're not quite there yet. Like, we've only really been posting on YouTube for a couple years consistently. And so I'd love to see what resonates and do more of that. But so far, I think we're kind of like spaghetti on the wall, like what works? Like, what do we like? What's working? What are we having fun making?
Yeah.
We have a lot of different styles out there right now. And I kind of like that. But yeah, we'll see if that changes, if I see one style like really popping up to the top. But how do we choose? It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of me wanting to make something and wanting to tell a certain story. It's a bit of Fraser Murray. He grew up at Nimmo Bay and he's the owner operator. I'm kind of our creative director, and he's got a ton of really fun ideas. So sometimes he'll just, and it'll be sort of out of left field, like, I want to build this thing, and that's what we're going to shoot. I'm like, building bar for something, like whatever.
But
So that's super fun. And then sometimes it's the collaborators that we're working with. So if we're working with a specific chef or we're bringing in a jeweler, I mean, that will sort of dictate what we're doing as well, what story we're telling. And then finally, I also really love highlighting the team. And like you were talking about earlier, we have team that come back year after year after year. We have 80% retention rate year after year. And so we like the pastry chef is amazing. I want to talk to Sean. I want to get his sourdough recipe. It's like, let's do that. So yeah, and people are usually pretty excited to work with us. So yeah, it's a bit of a mix.
I love that. Has there been something that like, okay, people go crazy about this. If I post about this, I know it's going to do well.
Yeah, the snorkeling table. Anything weird and floating, it seems.
Yeah. The saunas, the floating saunas.
The floating saunas, yeah. Bathtubs on a beach somewhere random. Anything where there's like a whale jumping in the background.
Yeah.
Can cue the whale.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, there's a mix. Sometimes it's the weirdest, most wonderful things.
Yeah.
Which can be a bit of a tricky, because sometimes we don't do that as our regular programming. And so, it'll go crazy and then people will show up and be like, I want to do that. But it was like, we did that for a video. Like, we don't do that all the time. That's a special off thing that we just did, So we had to be careful not to do that too much. But yeah, really anything sort of that nobody else is doing, anything that really stands out as like, whoa. Yeah. And wellness actually hits pretty well too.
Wellness, yeah. Has there been anything that has surprised you for how well that it's performed? Any piece of content or maybe something you're really proud of?
Well, it's random things that go viral, right? Like, you never know what's going to go viral. I love those clips, like how to make a viral video. Good luck with that. Like, you never know. One of our videos that did like bananas well was just basically walking along the dock and then kind of around the sauna and reveal videos do pretty well. Like revealing the view. So I guess that was the message there, is like a little bit of a sneaky, oh my God moment is really powerful for people. It's that inspiring, like, oh my God, I want to be there. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it can be a very, very simple video that will go viral or will have its moment.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, and kind of the same vein of, content creation, I'd love to chat a little bit about how you guys manage partnerships with content creators, because you do have such a limited capacity, with only hosting 20 guests at a time across 9 cabins. So how do you navigate that?
Mm-hmm. It is tricky. We get a lot of interest and I'd love to work with everybody, but we have to be really, really selective.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are selective. We go for people that we think are going to be like a good cultural fit. So they're going to, vibe with us, resonate with what we're doing, that are good people.
Yeah.
It's not about the numbers so much. I think, micro influence is a stronger bet for us than, big and flashy
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people who come to us with authenticity and, genuine creativity and curiosity are who we wanna work with,
Yeah.
more than people who are like, "I have such and such followers, and I can do this for this amount of money," or whatever. It's like, that's
Yeah.
not what we're looking for.
Yeah. And you shared with me that you were kind of able to use them in a creative way instead of just having them come and experience that you often, or maybe not often, maybe occasionally, will have them participate in some of your shoots. So, kind of like they get to create their own content, but then you also get to partner with them to create content. And has that been something that has worked well for you guys?
Yeah, exactly. I think you said it really well. Sometimes we'll work with people just one off, like come in as an influencer, content creator, whatever you will be. But often I'll try and find a way to make it a win win because
Mhm.
we're producing so much of our own content. If they
Yeah.
want to come in, say, we'll bring them in for a 3-day stay. One day of that, we'll work together and create a video for Nemo or some content for Nemo. They'll be our models essentially.
Yeah.
But they're all really good in front of the camera. They're all very
Right.
comfortable with it. They're like, yeah, I get it. This is my jam. Like they're the best models. And then, the other day or 2, they get to do whatever they want and create their content and we'll give them the full we're all at the red carpet, full guest experience on those other days. So
Yeah.
it's a really nice win-win. It's a nice barter agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to work really, really well and it's kind of fun to get to work with different teams too. Like I think that they also get a lot out of it too to see how because we're essentially
Yeah.
content creators as well. So it's like to
Yeah.
see how we work and then we get to watch how they work. It's a very cool sort of it makes it feel like a collaboration rather than, like, they're coming to do their own thing or, like,
Yeah.
we're hoping to get something out of it. Like, it feels really like a
Like a
partnership.
true partnership. Yeah, yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, yeah. Well, and I think that that's something that's really cool too, because you're not being as intrusive to guests trying to do all of this filming, it's like you already kind of have those people in that time designated, and then they still get to have a really amazing stay. So it's really like a win-win for everyone involved.
Exactly, it's quite contained.
Yeah.
They know what they're getting into. They're good with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels really good. It has worked quite a bit, so I think we'll keep doing that.
I love that. Anything that you do differently for like a media guest or a press guest that's maybe not going to be able to be in content that you're creating, but still brings value when you're looking for earned media coverage?
Oh, yeah, for press guests, we just do a full guest stay.
That's awesome.
When they come, we always do it for 2 people, so they'll bring
Yeah.
their partner, their child, or their significant buddy or whatever.
Yeah.
And we just do a full guest stay for press.
Yeah.
And I mean, we might adjust it a little bit depending on what the angle of their story is. If they're doing a food and beverage story for, Food
Right.
and Wine magazine, then that's going to be more of the focus of their
Yeah.
stay. If they're looking to write for a far or outside magazine, it's going to be more about, the outdoor
Adventure
things,
and
the outdoor pursuits. Like that's as much tailoring as we'll do, though. We just treat them like, yeah, our other guests. And
yeah.
that seems to work best.
Well, I think one of the things that really just like enamors people with Nemo Bay and the marketing that you do is that you really own your uniqueness. And like kind of as you've alluded to, that you're just things that are different, that not everyone's doing kind of out of the box. And so kind of talk to me about why that's so important and how you really don't try to be like your competitors, and you really lean into your own sense of place. Like, is that discussion that takes place or is that just something that happens naturally?
It's funny to even think of that as a
Yeah.
conversation. It's like, so we're family owned and operated. We're owner operated still. So Becky and Fraser's the second generation. His parents started the resort in 1980. He's taken
Nice.
over and he grew up at Nimmo Bay. So like trying to take out the uniqueness of Nimmo Bay and the family from the story, like just doesn't that doesn't they're just it's
It's one and the
intertwined,
same.
right? It's one and the same. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a lot of what we do comes from their family's lived experience out in the wild, and it's things that they love to do out there, and so they want to share that with the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, to remove that sort of element of unique personality would just be impossible because we're owner operated.
Yeah. I love that. And it seems like guests really resonate with that. Like they're seeing that kind of craving a uniqueness and these really bucket list adventures.
I think people want to go somewhere that feels real.
Yeah.
I think when even if you think of yourself when you're scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or whatever your drug of choice might be, are you going to be drawn to the person who feels real, like a friend, or are you gonna
Yeah.
be drawn to, something shiny and glossy? Well, maybe a little bit
Mhm.
of both, but
Yeah.
I think when you're thinking about where you wanna go, you're gonna wanna go to something that feels more real,
Yeah.
especially in a sea of glossy.
Yeah.
Like, I think that hospitality, we really lean into the glossy, especially
Mhm.
in luxury hospitality.
Yeah.
It's like, how beautiful, how glossy, how perfect can it be? And at Nimmo Bay, we were kind of like, "Well, we're in the rugged wilderness and,
Yeah.
the owners grew up here." It's like our service is exceptional and what we do is beautiful. The accommodation is, super high standard, but what's really interesting and unique and what people really want to come to Nimmo Bay for is the fact that we know what we're doing and we have really cool people. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like, it's really
Totally.
about the thing that's, like, a little bit behind the curtain,
Yeah.
not the glossy, shiny bit, but, like, the
Yeah.
story or, like, the grit and
Mhm.
determination that got us there or such and such guide's specific knowledge about something
Right.
really cool. So it's like, we should tell that story. That's what we need to tell people, and that's what
Yeah.
seems to be what they're attracted to seeing and meeting.
How have you been able to balance, because you talked a little bit about luxury, like, how have you been able to balance being really in this, like, rugged wilderness, but then still communicating that it is still a luxury experience, just in a little bit of a different way? Has that been something that's been challenging? I mean, you clearly have found a great way to communicate that, but what is that like?
Think
Like,
it
how do
can
you
be
balance that?
challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. Because we want people to see this as an authentic experience in a rugged place.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes Nemo Bay special is that, I mean, the Great Bear Rainforest is quite frankly inhospitable. Like, it is hard to live
Yeah.
in that place. It's hard to be in that place. And what Nemo Bay does is make it really comfortable so that you can
Yeah.
experience this wild, rugged environment in, you know, city standard comfort.
Right.
But then so I guess how do I communicate that though? It's like really focusing in on the service more than
Yeah.
anything. Like I think our price point dictates that, your cabin's gonna be beautiful and the food's gonna be great, but like
Mhm.
how do I tell that story that makes it feel real? It's more leaning into the people behind it, I think. So talking about the
Yeah.
chef and who they are and, showcasing those different personalities that bring this service standard higher.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you shared with me before that it's like almost 2 to 1, like team members to guest. And so it really is this completely elevated experience where you have people who know what you're doing intimately and can kind of be stewards of your whole journey throughout your stay.
Yeah, where we push like 2.5 to 1 sometimes, the
Yeah.
ratio of staff to guest. That's what it's all about at Nemo Bay, like, it's hyper
Yeah.
personalized, hyper curated, and hyper customized, so to do that, you need, an army of people, but those people also need to be really intuitive and not
Yeah.
in your face, like, nobody would know, none of the guests would know that
Right.
there's 2.5 team members to every one of them. They wouldn't know, they wouldn't feel that
Yeah.
because there's a level of, like, professionalism and
Yeah.
intuitive service that is trained for, but also hired for.
Yeah.
So people really know that. Yeah, it's hard to it is like it is a challenge though to communicate that to the world, to let them
Yeah.
know that this is like how do you explain that you're gonna feel
Right.
that? I don't know, you
Yeah.
have to feel it.
Yeah. You're just trust me. Just trust me.
Just yeah, exactly. I promise. We should never say in hospitality.
Oh my gosh, I know. So, I guess just to kind of wrap it up, what matters most? Like, how do you know if your marketing is working, and what metrics of success do you guys look for when trying to analyze if certain campaigns or marketing efforts are working?
Yeah, I mean, I think like everybody else, we use the standard KPIs,
Yeah.
but, and, general data analytics, like we're looking at the numbers for
Yeah.
sure. But like I was saying with us, true acquisition
It's
tracking is
really hard to track.
tricky.
Yeah.
So of course we'd love to just see the bookings, but
Yeah.
there is also the long game that we're
Yeah.
playing too sometimes. So it's really hard to know, I'd
Yeah.
say, what works and what doesn't. Feedback is great. Like
Yeah.
when people
Ask
say,
for it. Yeah.
yeah, they say, "Oh, I was on the fence, but then I watched some YouTube videos and now I really wanna come." I'm like, "Okay, great." That
Yeah.
that video that you just referenced has 300 views, but, like, it got us the booking, so perfect.
Right.
It's
All worth it.
numbers, it's about the qualified views rather than the
Yeah.
quantity, right? So, yeah, that's really tricky to
Yeah.
answer.
Is there something that you try to pay more attention to? We've talked to a lot of people who almost get really dialed in on like the vanity metrics, like, well, how many followers do I have? And, obviously those things are good, but perfect example, maybe a YouTube video only has 300 views, but it got a booking. And that's the goal. So are there anything that like you kind of look at with a grain of salt, and then other things you put more weight in?
Yeah, I put a lot of weight in the "How did you hear from us?" section of our inquiry form,
Yeah.
and that's why it's nice to be on the reservation side, like, I see that all the time.
Yeah.
Numbers do matter for sure,
Yeah.
like, the amount of followers, the amount of views, like, that stuff
Yeah.
does translate. the amount of engagement that people
Mhm.
when somebody shares their experience from
Yeah.
a personal perspective and tags us, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's gonna work.
Yeah.
Like the UGC that we all
Yeah.
pay for is the
Yeah.
best that
Is
you
the
could.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like an elevated, really awesome referral.
Yeah, referrals and reviews are awesome.
Yeah.
It's just especially in our category, like in our niche, it's people are gonna trust that a lot more than anything else.
Yeah. You mentioned asking guests for feedback. Is there a process that you do to kind of elicit that feedback from them post stay?
Everything at Nemo is super one-on-one. So
Yeah.
we send an email with follow-up, but we also have conversations on site, as they're departing or throughout their stay, like, "What's going
Mhm.
well for you? What are you loving?" And it helps to have the owner operators on site doing, cocktail hour with the guests every evening. Those
Yeah.
conversations naturally happen, and a lot of the best ideas that have come from Nemo Bay or that, we've used at Nemo Bay came from guests.
Amazing.
We have a floating fire dock. It's this
Yeah.
epic, huge dock with a fire pit with just 2 fire pits on it now with, like, a ring of chairs around it. We also have a big dining room on there. That was a guest idea. We didn't have
Wow.
that, and then he was like, "You know what you should do? You should float a fire."
Yeah.
And we're like, "That is a great idea." And now it's, like, the heart of the resort. That's a lot of the
Wow.
ideas came from guest ideas, guest
That's
comments.
amazing. So just really having a team that has a pulse on what the guests are talking about, staying interested, curious. I love that so
Genuine
much.
conversations, breaking down the
Yeah.
barriers, and having real
Yeah.
conversations with people. It's
Yeah.
where the gold comes from.
I love that. Well, and then just last thing to wrap it up for any other marketers who are listening, or if you were talking to someone marketing a boutique or a seasonal remote property, what is like your one piece of advice that you wish you could tell them?
I think it all starts with the experience.
Yeah.
And so you can sell, sell, sell and market like crazy, but for us anyway, word of mouth and referrals are
Mhm.
the strongest marketing that we have. I heard from a friend that
Mhm.
you get that from a really good experience and amazing execution. And so that's where you got to start. Like if
Yeah.
that isn't going well, if that's not tight, then the rest doesn't matter.
I- Yeah.
Best to start with that, right?
I love that. Such great advice, such great insights. Fiona, thank you so much for being with us today and just giving us kind of a reveal, if you will, to behind the scenes of what takes place to make everything happen in Emo Bay. And I think that it's been on my bucket list for a long time. Hopefully, it won't be on there for much longer and I can actually make it out.
Oh, we'd love to see you. Thank you for the conversation.
Yeah,
I love these. They always
absolutely.
spark things that I should be doing differently as well. So it's nice. Nice to have the chat and get the mind flowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much again. And if you want to check out more Foundry Talks, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.